San Francisco, Los Angeles, Dublin, Ireland. These are the places that are near and dear to me, and these are the places I write about.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
So we thought this week we would talk about places that are real, places that we've been to, seen, thought of, fantasized about, etc., that pop up in our work. When I wrote my first novel, the adult chick lit novel that will never see the light of day, I set it in two places. I set it in Dublin, Ireland, which I've been to many times, have friends and family there, and I feel very, very close to. And I set it in West Los Angeles, California, actually at my very best friend Roy's house, which is this gorgeous refurbished 1920s bungalow with this enclosed garden patio that is just fabulous. And it was easier for me, I think, to write about places that I knew very well, since writing was a scary prospect for me at the time. I think writing about places that I had been to, experienced, knew the smells, the sights, the feel of, made me feel more like I wasn't such a fraud as a writer telling about them. Witch's Eye is set almost entirely in Ireland, almost entirely in places I've been to, although I didn't use the actual names for a lot of them. And then, of course, with BANISH, I set it in my hometown of San Francisco, which I always have a very tender spot for. I actually grew up about 12 miles south of the city in a little town called Millbrae, which was a wonderful place to grow up. I was very close to a big city. I was right near the airport. I had a small town feel in a big town world, and I'm very lucky to have grown up there. The opening scene of BANISH, the opening exorcism scene, takes place at my grandmother's house, actually, which was on 18th and Santiago. She died in 2000 at the age of 94, and though the house no longer is in our family, it holds a very dear place for me since I spent many, many hours there as a child. So the bedroom for the initial exorcism scene is actually my grandmother's bedroom, and a lot of what I describe in that room was her room. The Bridget Lou household in the novel is actually my aunt and uncle's house, which was at 24th and Taravel until they sold it a few years ago. Again, like my grandmother's house, it had the traditional 5-paneled bay window in the front, which is so typical of San Francisco architecture, especially in the Sunset District. And to me, this was a way to keep it ever present, even though another family lives there now and is hopefully enjoying it. Something very sad happened this week in my hometown area. I don't know if you heard about it on the news, but there was a massive explosion in the town of San Bruno, about 2 miles from my mother's house in Millbrae, where I grew up. I think at the moment they have a death count of 7 and 50 houses destroyed, and many more that will be weeks before people can get in. If you're from the Bay Area, I know the Red Cross is taking blood donations. I know they desperately need it for the people who are in burn units. Also, the Petco in San Bruno, California, down at Tanforan Mall, has taken in a lot of pets who were stranded, abandoned, etc. in the evacuation that the fire department was able to get out. So if you have any donations of spare pet food or supplies, you could make them there. It was a real shock for all of us who grew up there. St. Robert's School District in San Bruno has been doing food and clothing drives for the people whose homes were destroyed. If you're from the Bay Area and you want to make a donation, please look up one of those organizations. It would mean a lot to me. Thanks. Bye.